Okay.
Things up already. Yes, ready. Don't want to be.
I understand. So we are in Prospect Park on a beautiful morning. Thank you, God, for a beautiful, quiet summer morning. It's just a beautiful day in Prospect Park, and I'm with Elaudys, and we're going to talk about some spiritual matters and some things that are on her heart. So let me start by asking my beautiful friend first. In your own words, tell me who Elaudys is.
Oh, Elaudys is a very old soul, I would say, in a young body, and not so young anymore. But from little, I always felt like disconnected a little bit. I always felt older than I was, and experienced things a little bit differently than my peers. While they were playing around, I wanted to do something more serious, or when they were doing things serious, I wanted to play. It was just never, a matching situation. But I haven't thought about that too deeply. I haven't thought about who I am. I know who I am in Jesus.
I think old soul says a lot in those two words. That's a maturity and a depth of wisdom, just those two words. So tell me then, who is Jesus to you? What's been your spiritual
Now
walk?
I can go off.
You go.
Jesus, he's everything. He's my friend. He's love. He is just that presence that never leaves you. That no matter what's going on in your life, is that power that exists within you, that allows you to just live life boldly, to me, and unafraid, and tapping into the core of his being. I think that's to me. He's everywhere. He's in me. He's outside of me. I live because of him. He's everything.
When did you meet him? Because that's a pretty profound answer. When did you meet him, and how did you know he was real?
I knew he was real. My mom, I grew up in church basically, and it was a Pentecostal church, and it was very strict. So at that point, I thought it was very legalistic. It was very hard to keep up with that life. I thought it was too much. I couldn't play with the rest of my friends. It was just church. So I didn't know him. He was beating up, being into me.
Sure.
I didn't have a relationship. I knew of him, but I didn't have a relationship with him. And that was when I was back home in Dominican Republic. When I came here at 12 to the United States, then I felt like, yes, I can finally be free from, this church thing and just go off and do my own thing, whatever. I'm just gonna live life. And that didn't quite happen the way I had it in my mind. I just went and had my life without Jesus, but always empty. Never realizing like what's going on. I was exposed to so much. I at times had a lot of access to different things, and no matter where I was, if it was like a fancy place, a fancy party, or anywhere in the world, it didn't matter. I still felt like something was missing. Mm-hmm. Something in my heart was missing.
Was there one thing in particular, one thing happened that said, I'm not living the way I want to live? I need this Jesus.
It was very transitional. Because I knew of him. A lot of people. My mom was always praying for me. She was a praying warrior. She is. My family members were always praying for me. So I kind of always had those people, talking about him and praying for me. Mm-hmm. So I knew, and it got to the point where I'm like, yes, I know I need God, but not right now. I'm not ready to commit just yet. Mm-hmm. That committal happened when there was nothing else that did it for me. Nothing could fulfill the void, and I knew where to get that fill that I needed, and that was God. And that's when I decided, okay, this is enough of living this half-empty life, and if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it full throttle. I'm just gonna give my all to Jesus, and that happened in 2011.
So what was that? What was that like? Was it a process of coming back to Jesus, or was it a moment where you said, you know what? Tomorrow morning I'm going to church and I'm going to join 27 ministries and I'm going to do this. How did that happen?
No, I think God's love. That's it. Because when I first started coming to church, I felt like, okay, I received Jesus again just because I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
If in my young years I accept him or not. So
nothing wrong with a recommitment, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to get back and started coming to church, but still living, a worldly life in a sense. And I couldn't shake it off. I was in that middle part where I loved church. I wanted to come, but yet, I was still hanging out and I was still doing all these things and just felt like this is not right. I feel like I'm, living a double life. But how can, if the desires are still in me, how can I fight against them? And that's when I realized with love, God's love just came over me. And I started noticing how I stopped doing all those things. Not because I knew what God said, I knew what the commandments were, but because I started loving Jesus so much that I didn't want to hurt him. I didn't want to, just do things that would dishonor him. So it was less about the rules and more about that love that I felt for him. Because I knew I love my parents. I would hate to do something that, to make them upset or anything like that. So how much more,
You are an old soul. For a young woman, you have packed a lot of life into those years.
No,
Based on that,
love.
what would you say, what is your ministry with all the experiences you've had, growing up in church, kind of walking away, coming back, knowing Christ, knowing his love, knowing what the world has to offer, which isn't much? What is your ministry?
I asked God the same thing. What is my ministry? I thought it was working with, because I love older people. I thought it was, the senior ministry. I thought I could assist. I'm like, yes, that makes sense. When I was going through all the different ministries that I could serve in or trying to figure it out. And God kind of shut that down real quick, and he kind of shifted me all the way to the extreme, and that's kids.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so I did not think I had it in me to work with kids. Mm-hmm. That was not, part of my testimony as far as I knew. But, oh my goodness, he put this love for kids in me and now I'm part of the kids ministry, 80 kids at Brooklyn Tabernacle. So.
There's so much. I know exactly. Oh, wow. So, you said something about an old soul. That I love that phrase, and I'm going to have to think about it and meditate on it for myself. I like that a lot. But old soul would seem to also imply that maybe there's been some high points and some low points in your walk with Christ. And I'm wondering if there's something particular on your mind or something you want to share.
There have been so many lows and highs. That's life, right? But the whole point was, I think when my dad had to retire, and I was 17, still in school, in high school, and he had to go, he had to go back home. He was going to retire and leave the country. And at that point, my mother was back home as well, and I was going to stay here with my brothers but pretty much on my own, because everyone kind of had their own lives. And I just looked around and I'm like, well, I don't feel like I have God, because I turned away from him. My parents are not here. I kind of have like a part-time job that, I don't even know if I'm going to school, because I can't afford it myself. And it was just like that moment of feeling absolutely just down and not, with no support of any kind, not spiritually, not in the physical, nothing. And I just remember saying to God, if you're there, just help me on this one. And he did, like out of nowhere. A friend of mine called me with a job offer, not for me, but someone called her and she passed it on to me. And that job, I stayed in that job for 14 years, and that
Wow, I love those kinds of stories when it's clearly God and God has rooted you.
No, He did. He gave me that job, and people could not believe. I did not have a college degree at that point. So me walking in there and just putting all the favor that He gave me, and so looking back now, how He pulled me out of the abyss. So many, not just that one time, but so many times, and have given me so much, and I don't deserve it. I don't deserve any of it. I still feel like I don't deserve anything. And He just bathed me with so much love and grace and favor. And so,
God's grace is really amazing. I can see His light in you. I can see the light of Christ in you. I really can. Do you have a favorite Bible verse or a go-to verse when you need to call on God quickly?
Again, so many, but one that always just empowers me and encourages me is the 2 Timothy 1:7. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Such an amazing verse.
Yeah, it is.
For me, every time I'm fearful about something, just always
go
to that verse.
It is powerful. It really is. When you're nervous, especially for me, it's one I call on a lot myself.
Yeah.
What about music? Is there a song in particular that you
love? Music.
It's like the soundtrack of your life or something,
One of my favorite songs is I don't know the name of it, which is weird because I listen to it all the time. Mm-hmm. It's Through You, I think is the name. I'm not sure. The one that goes, Through You, I can do anything. I can do anything. Yep, that's
not much of a singer, but I think I know the song you mean. Yeah, I do know that song.
I love that song.
That's a great song. It's very strong.
I mean, so many. I can sit here and give you. But that's the one that was kind of speaks to me.
What is God telling the world when you grow up? What is your life story that you're living better?
That's a tough one. His love. I mean, I was so impatient before with people. I was very selfish too. I can be honest. And now I just see how God has changed my heart. I mean, wanting and have so much compassion, such that I myself. So it does do something. Did not have it in me before, and letting me through Him that I can have it. He obviously has it in me. Compassion and love. Whatever that is, working it, going it doesn't matter.
What would you tell someone who's going through similar things? They haven't had to yet. Who's in the middle of the world, the secular thing, God is real. What advice, or what can you tell someone coming up who's hearing you and what you've been through?
Live is too light. I can't be in and out. I know we do it for a time period because we're trying to get a hold of God, but God already has gotten a hold of us. So just praying and giving it all to God. Not trying on your own strength. Yeah, you can try to be obedient, but I don't think that comes from your own strength. I don't think that comes from you psyching yourself into being obedient. I think that's love has to overwhelm you, and just ask for God to just put it in your heart to be obedient, put it in your heart to want to leave those things behind and not just try them.
couldn't do it.
What inspires you?
I think if I have to choose someone, those people around me that really have shown me the love of God through their lives. I think really my mother, my family members, some of my family members, like my sister-in-law, they really don't contradict, I think. They really live that life where it's you can see that it's not a double life. It's something that I can always say, you know what? I know it looks a certain way here, but I can always go back home and say, my mom, she lives a godly life, or my sister-in-law lives a godly life, or my sister. I've had those people around me that by the grace of God I've been able to be from. So yeah.
In your own words, though, because I see you as a living epistle, and I think anybody watching this is going to realize God is writing a letter to the world with your life. Anything that you want to say in terms of what that letter will say, somebody should say, and you want it to say? Love you. Thank you for doing this.
Sister. Oh, thank you.
You are a wonderful sister in Christ. You too. That's it.
God's special messenger of hope. I must preach Christ at all times, whether in word or by my life, showing His love for all the lost, telling His truth, whatever the cost of His love so free. A witness I'll be. May you see Jesus in me. Do I say that He'll special messenger of hope. I must preach Christ at all times, whether in word or by my life, sharing His love for all the lost, telling His truth, whatever the cost, of His love so free, a witness I'll be. May you see Jesus in me. Do I say that He is coming soon? Get ready now and tell others too, that He'll lead and guide you to know what to do. Is it signed, Jesus loves you? For I